What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show. It is Friday, June 23rd, and I'm here, Jerry Walker, alongside me as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Jackson Fyda. Jackson, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a bright, sunny Friday morning here, so looking forward to this and having a good day in general.
Oh yeah, love it when it's nice out. Gives good energy for the show and makes the lighting a little bit better.
Oh,
Not
for
my
sure.
case. In my case, it's not great lighting, but oh well. We got some good stuff to talk about today. Jackson and I spoke on Monday for this show and talked a little bit about soccer, mostly all about soccer as we usually do. But big news was last night the NBA draft happened, so we'll definitely start with some of that, hop into some other soccer news, and go about business that way. So let's kick it off, Jackson. The NBA draft did happen last night. No surprise about who went number one, Victor Wembanyama. What do you expect of him? I think
I,
he seems crazy.
I mean, when you watch his highlights, he looks absolutely unreal. I mean, the clip that sticks out to me is that three-pointer he missed, goes, grabs his own rebound, and slams it back in.
Yep.
Like when you watch some of the stuff he can do, it's like unbelievable. How it's a 7'4" with like guard like skills. He's like kind of like no player we've ever seen before, I feel like. So it's going to be
No.
really interesting to see how he does in the league because I'm just curious to see how he's going to do with his frame. You know what I mean? Just because he's a little skinnier. But I really don't think that's going to be a problem for him because that's not how he plays. He doesn't
No.
play as like a post up guy. He's not going to have to worry about backing down Embiid. I think he's going to be okay, and I think he's going to be pretty damn good, man.
Yeah, like you said, the concern for me is about his frame isn't that him backing down players; it's him getting back to down. When
Mhm.
you have an 8 foot wingspan and can or 7'4" and can jump out of the building, that's a pretty dangerous shot blocker. Doesn't matter who's going up against you; it'll cause major issues for a lot of people on that defensive end. I also don't think there's any better spot for him than San Antonio. Last two guys, Greg Popovich got in the lottery first overall. Guy named David Robinson and another guy named Tim Duncan. I'm pretty sure they both had pretty decent careers as bigs under Popovich, so wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise me if we see Wembenyama learn a little bit here.
yeah. Tim Duncan was unreal in San Antonio. So if he can get any of that coaching, he's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting because I mean, looking at the Spurs, they didn't obviously did not have a good season last year, and they got some moves definitely to make. I'm looking at their according to the ESPN's depth chart, they only have three starters. They got a point guard, a power forward, and a center.
Mm.
Definitely going to be adding some players, so it'll be a relatively younger team, I would assume, come this season. I don't know if Wembenyama makes them an immediate playoff contending team or even a team to get into the playoffs. I think it might take a year, maybe two. But what are your expectations for the Spurs looking at this season now that they have this crazy 19-year-old?
It's going to be interesting to see. I think I could see them making the playoffs for sure. Like I feel like that's definitely reasonable. I don't think they go and make a crazy run though. I think he's got to have a little bit of time to adjust to the league. And also it's not just one guy who's going to win it. It's going to be a team that has to come around him. So I think after a year or two of him being in the league, you're going to see some of these star players want to go to San Antonio because they want to win it with him. But I think this year, if they make playoffs, that's a pretty good season for them, and that's something to build on for sure.
No, it definitely is. And I mean, something that has me thinking about it is a lot of these college guys, sure, the college level might be a little more intense, but they're not playing against grown men like Victor has been doing. You could say the same with how Luka Doncic transitioned extremely easily into the NBA. He was playing for Real Madrid at 15 years old, playing against people who were honestly twice his age. I'm sure there were some 30-year-olds up in the Spanish league or FIBA league. So it's that transition I think will be a little easier. It's more him getting used to it, getting used to some of that intense travel around the US because fortunately for him though San Antonio is in the middle of the country, so it's nothing like he's in Miami or LA and has to make these long cross country trips. But there's just going to be all that little stuff I think early on and still I think a clear favorite to be rookie of the year.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you had a bet, dude, I'd put just about everything on that.
Yeah, the matchup I'm excited for it'd be technically two rookies. One was drafted last year, one this year. But Chet Holmgren, if he does come back and is playing well, him at OKC facing off against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs, that'll be a battle of the skinny towers.
I know. I was thinking about that the other day. How like Wemby's like just it feels like a much better version of Chet Holmgren when I think about it. But yeah, watching those two play would be interesting because they both have insanely good guard like skills for big men. They're both super skinny. So yeah, that'll be kind of an interesting clash to see for sure.
Yeah. I'm excited to see all of them get going, especially, I mean, I enjoyed watching Chet at college, but we'd seen so many Gonzaga guys come to, especially Gonzaga big men, come to the NBA and struggle that I was a little concerned about him, and we'll see how he turns out. But
I'm not gonna
looking,
lie, I didn't like Chet a lot in college when I watched
oh,
him play. I wasn't a huge Czech guy. I remember when Duke played them, he was just getting destroyed by someone who was about his size and was smarter and a little bit bigger. So like I kind of thought when he was entering the league, I didn't really think he was going to end up being that great his first year, and then he ended up not even playing his first year because of that injury at that tournament up in Washington. I want to say.
yeah, something like that. All
Yeah.
because his first shot of playing against anyone in the league, LeBron James drives in on him. For those who don't know, and he just lands, gets kind of bodied midair and lands weirdly, and what towards Achilles, I believe.
Yeah, so when that didn't really surprise me at all because again, he got dominated in the paint by Mark Williams. And Mark Williams was good in college, but compared to these other guys he's going to go against,
Yeah.
it's just different level. So it'll I just never was a huge fan of Chet, not gonna lie.
Mm. No, I get that. And I mean, even looking at the other centers who he'll be facing in that Northwest Division, obviously you have Nikola Jokic, then you have Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns on the Timberwolves, Yusuf Nurkic at times at Portland. He's got his work cut out for him against some very talented big men.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how he's gonna fare. I really
Yeah,
don't.
it's going to be interesting. But that whole OKC team is just intriguing to say the least. Very young, still have so many first round draft picks over the next few years. That's definitely a project. That's going to be a long term project for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on down the draft board, it was obvious Victor Wembanyama was going to be that first overall pick, but there was a little bit of question about who would go second. Was it going to be Brandon Miller from Alabama or Scoot Henderson, who played in the G League Ignite team? It ended up being Brandon Miller that was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. I, I don't know who I would have taken at that pick. I think Brandon Miller fits the need of the Hornets more because they do have LaMelo Ball. Now they get a forward. Didn't necessarily need another guard in Scoot, but were you surprised to see Brandon Miller go second over Scoot Henderson?
I really wasn't, and I'm probably gonna be a little more biased towards Brandon Miller because I watch a lot of college basketball and don't pay attention at all to the G League or
No.
overtime elite. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. So obviously in my mind, I was thinking Brandon Miller for sure. So it didn't surprise me. And it looked like I was reading up and it looked like a lot of people were expecting Brandon Miller to go second. Someone on ESPN was saying it was like the worst kept secret in the league for the past month that he was going to go second. So I guess for me, it wasn't really surprising. I did see Scoot thinking he was going to go number one, which I kind of made me chuckle when I saw that quote. But
Love the
it really
confidence, but
surprised me. And when you watch Brandon Miller in college, he was absolutely unbelievable, like
yeah.
unreal good. Obviously, he has that little baggage with him from that incident in Alabama. So hopefully he can figure that out and doesn't go down a Ja Morantish path in the NBA. But he's a very good player. And yeah, I thought he was going to go second for sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I did think Scoot might be the more talented player in the long run, but for needs and what they need at the moment, Miller fits the Hornets a bit better. I will say I was a little concerned watching him because he had an amazing regular season. Don't get me wrong. Brandon Miller was insane for Alabama. They were the number one team in the country for a reason. But in the March Madness tournament, he kind of disappeared. I don't know if that was because he was struggling. He was definitely struggling, but I don't know if his teammates weren't getting him the looks. It was kind of just a little bit of everything. So I thought that might have hurt his draft selection a little bit, maybe knocked him down a spot. But sure enough, it was. And then that also gives us an exciting duo. If they keep Damian Lillard, the Blazers will have him at the one, likely Scoot Henderson at the two. That could be a fun little front court tandem.
Yeah, that would be crazy to watch. I think Lillard said that if he stayed, those two together would dominate the league in that position. I think I was reading up on that. That would be an insane little guard duo for sure. Having Scoot at the two and Dame at the one.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the better guard duos in the entire league already, and we haven't really even seen Scoot play anything yet. It's based on potential. That could be a very dangerous duo, but I still don't know if they keep Dame. I really don't. I would have thought if they were going to trade him, it would have been yesterday, but I just don't
Looks
know
like
what's happening in Portland.
they might be trying to build that up. And yeah, I found the quote. He said, "If we combine our games, it'll be over for the rest of the NBA." So maybe he's got that confidence, and maybe he's talking with the staff over at the Trailblazer and is like, I want to do this. I think we could be insane if we stay. So I on that quote alone, I think he might stay, honestly.
I'd like to see it at least for give me the half the season. Let's see what happens. Worst comes to it, it doesn't necessarily click. Trade away Dame at the deadline. Get another top pick next season. See what happens with that. There's other news in the draft. I think history was made with that fourth and fifth pick. The Thompson twins, Amon Thompson and Asur Thompson, went 4-5, becoming the first twins ever to be selected in the top 5 of an NBA draft. Amon went number 4 to Houston. Asur went number 5 to Detroit. That's got to be cool. Getting drafted right before your twin. Wonder what that experience. That experience must have been crazy for him.
Yeah, imagine being the parents, man. Being his parents, getting to see your kids go 4-5. that's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some solid twin duos in the NBA in the past. I know the Lopez twins, Marcus and Markieff Morris. Even if I'm not a huge fan of them, we got Cody and Caleb Martin, the Reno, Nevada boys.
Attaboys.
It's gonna be cool. And I mean, talk about other brother pairings, Steph Curry and Seth Curry, one of them. It's just cool getting to see your family succeed and your brother going to the same place you are.
Yeah, one spot after the other, and you're both top 5. They had a fun night for sure last night.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wonder how much fun they could have because I want to say what they're 20, 19.
Yeah, they'd have fun.
They would have a good time, no matter what happens. But it's crazy to see stuff like that. Like, and these guys weren't even in college; they played for Overtime Elite this past season, which I want to say are they a G League team as well?
I don't even know. Like, I thought it was like more of like a league or something, but I'm not.
Okay.
I honestly have no idea what it is. Like,
Because
I know
like
there are like
said,
players there, but
like you said, we follow the college basketball picture so much more than G League Ignite or Overtime Elite or any of those other little side ones that have now formed after people are trying to find ways to avoid going to college and getting to start making money right out of high school.
yeah, it looks like it is a league. It's just like a league for 16 to 20-year-olds who want to play. Minimum base salary of $100K.
So, minimum base of $100K?
I think that's what I was saying. Granted, I'm basing this completely on Wikipedia, but I'm going to trust it here.
Oh, no, I'm saying more like that's not a bad minimum salary as a 16 to 20-year-old getting $100K to go hoop.
Mm-hmm. That's not bad, especially I don't mind having alternatives for these kids who don't want to go to college because one of the things I love about college is when players stick around and you see those teams develop and you see guys who actually want to be in college and play for those teams play because that's when the teams are good and that's when it's fun. So I think I like the alternative that's offering, and I like the alternative that like the G League is offering, where these guys who don't want to go to college go and play. Because the reality is, I feel like it's better for basketball in general when that happens, and better for college basketball. I think I like it that they have that option now.
Yeah, it gives them another alternative and lets them kind of play. Not that the college level is some of the best in the world, but getting them at these high highly competitive other leagues, even the G League Ignite, playing in the G League, you're playing against guys who have already been drafted in some cases. So you know what you have to go against to get to that next level, and you're playing guys who have tasted it. They're hungry to get back to the NBA, so it's game in, game on every night.
Yeah, for sure.
Were there any other like major draft picks that you liked, surprised you? I know for me, I like the idea of Jaime Jaquez going to Miami because I thought
Mhm.
he's a baller at UCLA for his years
So
there.
good. Yeah, that's a good one. And going to Miami with Spoelstra, where he's going to get integrated into that kind of like team dynamic they have. I like that about them. They've got Jimmy, obviously goes and does his thing, but they have all these other guys who people didn't really give. I wouldn't say they didn't give him a chance, but no one thought that Duncan Robinson would be what he is. No one thought that Caleb Martin would go and be what he is. So I think that's a great spot for Hawkins because he's incredibly good. He's a leader, and he's going to fit right in with a team dynamic where you have other players. Because at UCLA, he had Juzang for a little bit. He had these other guys who were probably more talented basketball players, at least flashier basketball players. But he still found a way to be like UCLA's key guy, I want to say, in terms of his leadership ability and his basketball ability. Because, like you said, the dude's a baller.
Yeah. Going to a school in the Pac-12 myself, I saw a lot of Jaime Jaquez playing for UCLA, and he just always seemed to find ways to do something, especially come March. He would help that Bruins team a lot. It's going to be fun to see what he does with Miami because they're all a bunch of dogs there. Like you mentioned, a couple of them. That was one of the narratives in the NBA Finals was, oh, it's all these guys who've been undrafted and have earned their way and fought their way to get to where they are. I think he fits right in with that team.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that's a good pick for them. The one that I kind of found, I thought Trace Jackson Davis in college was so good, and he went second to last. I found that a little surprising. I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie. I mean, it makes sense. They're going to go for other dudes who are a little bit younger, maybe have more upside, I guess. I saw he took to Twitter and said, "Y'all are going to regret this." So I'm interested to see how he's going to be in the NBA and see if that Trace Jackson Davis villain arc starts because of that second to last draft pick.
Yeah. I mean, look at what he did last year for Indiana. Averaged almost 21. He averaged about 21, 11, and 4 with 3 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
First team All American, Defensive Player of the Year, semifinal, All Big Ten. And it wasn't like he was playing in a lower mediocre or mid major conference. He was playing in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Big Ten's one of the consistently better conferences in college basketball up there with the Big 12, ACC, Pac 12, SEC on occasion.
Yeah. And he went second to last. So, I mean, I don't think anyone thought he was going to be like one of the top players in the draft. No one thought he was going to go like incredibly high, but I still think second to last is a little further down than I would have thought because someone like Luka Garza, who went to Iowa, got drafted higher than he got drafted. So I that was really surprising to me when I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about him going there, but honestly, it's going to be an exciting fit for him in Golden, as he was drafted by the Wizards, but getting traded to Golden State. He fits that small ball team perfectly. With Draymond Green likely leaving, they can bring in another 6'8" guy who can play center, can play the 4. That Warriors team is just a weird one at the moment. Obviously, they went and traded away Jordan Poole, brought in Chris Paul. I don't know if they're trying to win it all again this year. I mean, obviously they will be, but I don't know how I felt about that Chris Paul acquisition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's zero trophies right there. 0 NBA titles guaranteed. Chris Paul.
Yep.
We'll see. Maybe you'll win now. Maybe you'll win
officially over.
Yeah, we'll see. Do you see Jordan Poole unfollow Draymond Green on Instagram already too?
Yep. It was like within 10 minutes or something of him being traded. He's like, nope, I'm done.
It's like the first thing he did was unfollow Draymond Green.
I mean, it's hard to blame him when your teammate punches you at practice.
Yeah, that whole incident was so funny.
Wild. It was so crazy. But there's another pick that kind of intrigues me. the last one of the first round, the LA Clippers drafted Kobe Brown from Missouri. I've seen him watching the SEC play this past year. He's been a pretty solid guy, and he can play the two, he can play the three, maybe play the four. There's been rumors as well that Paul George is on the trading block.
Hmm.
Maybe this is the guy who they're trying to bring in to replace him and pair him up with Kawhi Leonard instead of PG.
Yeah. I mean, I got to see him play live during the NCAA tournament for 2 games, which was pretty cool. When you were watching him, I was like, all right, this dude's pretty good. Because I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch a lot of him before because I feel like I don't get around to watching as much SEC basketball as I should.
Yeah,
But watching him live in the tournament, he was good, and he was taking it to Utah State. And I thought Utah State had some decent players, and he was just bullying them. Granted, Princeton kind of made good work of him and Missouri, but that was an
but that's
anomaly.
Princeton.
That
Princeton's
was
just too good for them.
yeah, it was mighty Princeton. Come on, and but yeah, he looked very good, and I didn't know that about the trade situation possibly with Paul
Don't
George.
know what's been reported. I've seen reports, rumors that he's potentially on the trading block, which that could be interesting. I don't know where he would go necessarily, but something to keep an eye on. Let's see. Is there any other draft picks or anything else that kind of caught your eye in the end last night?
Um, I don't know. I think more so the thing that caught my eye the most is when you look at the top 5, there's only one NCAA player.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing for me. I don't know if that says a lot about college basketball or about what's happening around it. I know some people are trying to say like, oh, this shows a state that college basketball is in right now. I don't know if I necessarily say that based on 1 year. I mean, everyone knew Wemby was going to be the number 1 pick,
Yeah.
and we've known that for years. It's felt like that he was going to go number 1. And these other guys that playing in the G League and playing for overtime elite, like they're ballers, and like we kind of felt like that was going to happen this year as well. So I don't know if it's a bad thing for college basketball, because I still think that if these young players who are just going to go to the NBA anyway, they don't want to go to college. It'd be a waste of their time. It'd be a waste of the college program's time. Realistically, I I don't think it's a problem for college basketball. And you still have a guy who went number 2 in Brandon Miller, but I did find it kind of interesting that it was the only one college basketball player win in the top 5. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
I would doubt it.
Yeah, but maybe that's a sign of things that are going to come in the future where more top prospects don't go to college and they go play in the G League, they go play for overtime elite, or they go play overseas. Like maybe that'll be more of a trend, but you still look at the rest of the draft and it's majority college players. So I still think,
Especially that first round.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was outside of that top 5 where there were 4 of them, and the 7th overall pick. There was another guy who played for the Metropolitans '92. The rest of them were all college players in that first round, and then we saw a lot more European players and these other leagues in that second round, which kind of seems to be the trend more. You get the guys who are taking the risks on these foreign guys in the second round, see what happens. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get a Jokic, it really pays off. Yeah.
Sometimes you get, God, I don't know. I know I would say Emmanuel Mudiay because he was a foreign player, but he was like a top 15 pick.
Yeah. I was trying to think of other ones too.
But that's exactly the point. We don't know any of the other ones because they kind of disappear.
Yeah, because they never turned out. So,
yep.
But
now, on any other NBA news or anything you want to talk about before we head back to the world of soccer?
Not really. It was a fun little night for me to actually dip my toes in the NBA world. Always do that during draft time, and then not again till playoffs. So,
hey, just waiting for the college season, I bet.
So,
speaking of that, how's Nevada going to be this year? Are they looking promising? Because wasn't it a little disappointing of a season for them this past year?
It was a great season,
Oh,
and
was
then
okay.
we collapsed at the end. Great season, and then just tripped. I don't even know how you want to say it. It's more not just tripping; it is completely falling on our face at the end.
Yeah, just face plan.
You're an ASU guy, so that game hurt.
I honestly expected ASU to lose to Nevada because it seems like ASU always lost to Nevada.
I thought we were gonna get it together, but I mean, looking back, that was just me being foolishly hopeful because when I saw what was happening at the end of the season, I'm like, all right, if we just win like one out of these last few games, we're in. We don't have to worry about it. We proceed to lose just about every single one. We make it in as the last place team in the tournament, and then I'm like, okay, maybe this will be the fire they need to get them going, and we just got absolutely friggin' rocked. That was the worst game of the first round of any of the first week, honestly. And
Yeah, I honestly kind of forgot how lopsided that game was until now. And I mean, I watched a little bit of ASU during the regular season. They were so bad.
I know
It was just
former
consistent,
Nevada
but
you got former Nevada players on your team, which I wonder if that played a part as well.
maybe
Yeah,
yeah,
but dude, that game was awful. I'm hoping they're going to be good next year, but it's honestly a crapshoot. One of Nevada's players actually transferred to Bradley, so I'm going to be going to school with him now. So that's kind of funny, but
nice.
yeah, I'm going to be in the weight room with him. So that's some fun little training room talk, I
Oh,
guess we can talk about. Yeah, but
it's not about how Nevada was, and because you went to Reno, Nevada, yeah.
no, I've
Oh
been
no,
at
you
Brad
just
the whole
oh, you've
time.
been in Raleigh the whole time.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, no, college basketball can't come soon enough now that the NBA's done.
Mhm.
But
Duke's gonna be fun next year.
Duke
I'm a
is going to be.
I am so hyped about how good they are. When they kept Filipowski, I was like, let's go. It's gonna be a good year. I'm looking forward to it so much. And Shire, whoo, he's a good coach. I like him a lot. He's like the Mikel Arteta of college basketball, so I'm super excited for next season.
That's honestly a great transition to one of the next topics for us. Brought up Arteta. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for the next college basketball season. I have a feeling it won't be as crazy as this last year was because that
No
was
way.
something else.
There's no
Give me
way.
Duke and Kansas. I have a feeling Duke and Kansas might run away with it.
Kansas with Hunter Dickinson now too. Those two right now are looking so good.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. But you mentioned Mikel Arteta. There was a midfielder that he's been trying to bring in the last couple of weeks in Declan Rice. I know you're an Arsenal guy, so I have to get your opinion on this. The last few days, Man City has swooped in. Last report I saw was offering around 75 million in Calvin Phillips to West Ham. Where do you think Declan's going to end up? Do you think Arsenal have kind of lost out on this bidding war?
Yeah, I think he's gonna go to City, man. It's kind of hard to compete with the best team in the world, you know. And not only are they the best team in the world, but they're the best team in your country as well. So you don't even have to leave.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that he wants to stay in London. I'm hoping that does it for him. He still plays Champions League and he gets to be the guy at Arsenal. I hope that's the pitch, and I hope it works. And I hope all this City bullshit is just noise. But man, dude, as soon as I saw that City are getting close, I woke up in the morning, saw that on my phone. I was like, he's gonna go to City. I
Man,
think he's gonna go. Yeah.
it's gonna. I personally, I don't see why he would choose Arsenal over City at the end of the day.
Mm.
If it was offered the exact same contract, you either go to a team that was, as I've seen people say, came second in a one horse race, or the
Yeah.
team that, which I really don't think it ever was a one horse race. Everyone kind of knew City was always in it until it's over. They've just done it too many times in the past.
Yeah.
Or you go to a team that won the treble, second ever English team to do so. So,
Yeah. The only thing I could see is the London thing because I saw
yeah.
that he was interested in staying in London. But England's so small that I don't know if that's a huge deal for him because it is a very quick, relatively quick train ride or bus ride. I don't really know how you Brits commute, but back to London.
Mostly, yeah, it's like probably a 3 hour train from London to Manchester,
Yeah.
if not a little longer, but
Which sounds
still not.
long for Europeans, but for most Americans, we do that kind of travel all the time to get places. So
No, yeah, I mean, just we drive 3 hours just to go do things.
yeah, I drive 3 hours for a game.
Yeah, and then drive home after. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
No, but it's gonna be.
He's gonna go.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
calling it.
Sadly, I think he might be. And that just big other news with around that is Gundogan left. Gundogan's gone to Barcelona, so that opens up a space in that midfield for someone to come in. And I'm honestly just glad he's not going to end up going to Man United. I'd rather him go to City or Arsenal than Man U. But
I mean, I'd rather him go to Arsenal, so I'm still a little heartbroken. It
oh,
hasn't even happened yet, and I feel heartbroken about it. Isn't that
I feel
crazy?
like he's already lost out on it.
Yeah, that's like the craziest thing. That's the level City's at right now. Is it hasn't even happened, and I'm already heartbroken because as soon as I see they're seriously in the race, it's like, well, fuck. But I do think he's not an exact replacement for Gundogan.
No, I agree.
I think Kovacic is going to be more so what they're aiming for at that, more of a bit more attack minded because Gundogan contributed a fair amount to the attack with his creativity and his goal scoring. He scored like 11 goals for them last year, which for a midfielder, that's pretty good. Declan Rice doesn't score quite like that. He's not quite the same attacking player. Granted, he was playing at West Ham where they had to be more defensively focused and they were looking for him to be more of a defensive minded midfielder. So, I mean, it is Pep Guardiola. So, I mean, he could obviously turn him into someone. I mean, I saw John Stones freaking cutting people up in the Champions League final.
Yeah, that was
going forward. And that if you told me John Stones would be on the opposition's 18 beating like 4 dudes, I would have told you you're crazy, and it's happened. So yeah, now that I'm thinking about it more so, that was trying to give me a little bit more hope. But yeah, Guardiola could probably turn him into another Gundogan. So
yeah, I mean, Pep's honestly one of the best managers in the world of all time, probably even.
yeah,
Just spicy. Arsenal has, however, they did get someone this week. They got Kai Havertz from Chelsea. What do you think of that signing? Because he hasn't exactly had a great last couple of years in Chelsea.
yeah, but who has? You
Good point.
know, Chelsea's an absolute dumpster fire right now. So when people are like, "Oh, he's a flop. He's going to Arsenal," I'm like, their whole team right now is a flop. I mean, the price is a little bit more than I think Arsenal or anyone would have hoped for, but he's a good player. He plays well, and if he has the right manager, which I think Arteta could be the right guy for him, could be a very good player. And it's not like we were going out trying to get a star player. We're not looking for someone to completely change the team in Havertz. We're looking for depth. He's going to be able to add to that attacking depth that we already have. I don't think he immediately starts. I don't see where he would start unless you put him up top. But I'm not a huge Havertz striker kind of guy. Granted, I'm not a huge Gabriel Jesus striker guy either, not going to lie. But I don't think – I think he's going to be more of a depth piece. Like, he's going to play a lot, but he's not going to be, like, our main guy. So that's like that signing, I'm actually very excited about it. I think he's going to add a lot of quality going forward for us. He can play on the wings. He can play attacking midfield, or he can play up top. So he can play in all these different positions. He can provide that cover up top, which is huge because a lot of times we didn't have a great option. I mean, Nketiah was good, but like I think Havertz is still better right now up there. Yeah. So, and unless I don't know, maybe Balawan suddenly shows out during preseason and stays, I think he's going to be a good addition to us, and he can play in a lot of positions. And the fact that he can provide that cover up top is really big, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think it can work out. I'm not as optimistic on this one as I was with Gabriel Jesus. I was a bit more optimistic that he would succeed at Arsenal solely because in his time at Man City, he never was able to play his true number 9 role, which he did more at Arsenal. And you saw how good of at least the first half of the season he had. But Havertz is. I'm interested to see what happens. See if he can get back and kind of get back to how he was before. Last
He's
couple
still
of years.
24. That's like it's not like
just adds another
he's still relatively young.
Yeah. It feels like he's been around for a little while now.
I know. But yeah, only 24. I think, and I trust Arteta. I think he is an insanely good manager who can get the best out of players when they play for him. I'm still trying to figure out where they're going to play him, though. You know?
Yeah,
I don't know what the plan.
He's
not taking Ozark's spot.
No. And if
And
he is, then
Jesus,
something. Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say Jesus is still gonna start up top. He should. Odegaard is gonna start. And you're not taking Martinelli off. You're not taking Saka off right now. So I don't know where he's gonna slot in. You know, that's why I'm
Just
still trying to figure out.
just add some depth, bring him on as a sub in the second half,
Mhm.
maybe. But even
Yeah, I think
then,
he's gonna be kind of like a Trossard-ish
okay.
player for us. I think it's going to be more like that. Like he will start some games, but he's mainly coming off the bench, providing support for these other guys. I think that's mainly what he's going to be, at least at the start.
Yeah. There's some other news around the Premier League. I don't know if you've seen any of the Chelsea rumors or kind of questions that have been going around. There's
I wrote
now,
about it yesterday.
yep, that's true.
Yeah.
The Saudi influence, I would
Mm.
say. There's the Premier League teams are looking to get a written assurance from the Premier League that Saudi Arabia does not have a stake in Chelsea because it's been 6, 7 players have gone from Chelsea to the Saudi Premier League this or Saudi Pro League
Or
this summer.
3 like in a week, and then Conte already.
Oh,
Yeah, and
so
there's
4
more rumors around it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of suspicious stuff going on, to say
And
the least. And only
apparently
really go ahead.
apparently they've provided like the evidence that they're not involved. But man, all those players in that short amount of time just looks too funny. You know what I mean?
It's too
Wait,
suspicious. It's too much of a coincidence. I mean, it
yeah,
really becomes a conflict of interest if there is anything found, because as most people know, Saudi Arabia already has a team in the Premier League in Newcastle who they made another big splash today, but maybe touch on that in a bit. Do you think there's any shot, because you said you wrote about it, do you think there's any shot of there being any influence? Or do you
yeah.
think it's just purely a coincidence?
I think so. Yeah, it's sports, high level sports, and a whole lot of money. So
Yeah.
100% would totally believe it if they said there was. I don't know if they're like super involved. Maybe there's some shady shit going on underneath the table. You know, I think it probably would be more so like that. And Bailey seems like absolutely such a clown
Oh, yeah.
that would not shock me one bit if there was some level of influence or an agreement going on, you know, because the PIF is just going crazy with their stuff right now. Didn't they buy like a stake in a bunch of Washington sports the other day, like Washington D.C. sports?
Oh, I
Is
don't
that
know. I'm
I,
not sure.
they're going crazy with the stuff they're doing.
Yeah,
So I
Saudi
would like that.
is all over the place. It's going to be. I still think we're going to see a lot of other players moving over to the Saudi league this summer, just because no one can really. It's hard for anyone to compete with that kind of money. It's turned
Mhm.
down as well.
Yeah.
You see what Kalidou Koulibaly, who was great at Napoli, not too good at Chelsea this year, is now potentially going to get a $77 million contract to go.
The money they can throw around is absurd, man.
I don't understand it. And I mean, now they're trying to get Lukaku. It's it's crazy. Maybe Ronaldo was onto something, because some of these guys are still relatively young. It's not
Ruben
like
Neves.
it's Neves moving. I'm happy Heung-Min's son came out and said he's staying at Tottenham, even if he should probably go elsewhere. But
Mhm. Yeah, but I like the fact that he wants to stay and fight and regain that
yeah,
form he had, you know, rather than just
absolutely.
cashing out and going for the money grab like Ruben Neves. Like
Yeah.
Ruben Neves could have gone to so many top level clubs. You know, he could have gone and played for Barca. I saw that's been a rumor for so long. I mean, he could because of the money, like financial situation, he couldn't have. But like in terms of level and ability, he could have gone somewhere really good.
Yeah, and
And
I mean he's only 26, so he's still in the prime of his career.
yeah, went and cashed
It's,
out.
yeah, it's
Like,
crazy.
like when Oscar went to China, that kind of gave me a little similar vibes, you know?
Yeah. The one that I saw recently, because I saw a list of like the top 10 highest paid players per year. I forgot that Iniesta's still playing. It just seems
Yeah,
like I know he's a Kobe still in Japan, but I thought he'd retired this past season. I guess not. He's still going strong.
yeah, I saw that too. And is he trying to go somewhere else? Is that what it is?
Is he?
I,
Iniesta to Leeds. Heard it here first. No, I'm sure he'll stay. I haven't seen any reports or rumors of Iniesta moving anywhere.
yeah, yeah,
Looks like he is going to be playing his final game this season, though, at least in Japan.
yeah. It looks like he's gonna leave because of playing time.
I
He's
mean, what?
39.
Yeah, he's played in 3 games this season.
Where's he gonna play now? Like,
Team up with former Barcelona teammate Lionel Messi at Inter Miami.
yeah, I don't. He wouldn't play though. I don't
No,
know
he
if he
wouldn't.
get a lot of playing time, but man,
I don't
get more eyes on the team. Yeah.
get him on the coaching staff with Xavi at Barcelona.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the one we need. That's what we need. Xavi head coach, Iniesta assistant coach. The way that team could play could be beautiful.
Oh, the passing would be absurd, especially with Gundogan now, who has already played under their mentor and coach Pep Guardiola, so he knows the style. He could fit in perfectly there. It's gonna be
Hmm.
exciting stuff.
I still think the biggest wet dream for a soccer fan would be Guardiola coaching, Xavi and Iniesta assistant coaches. Oh, could you imagine that level of quality with the movement, the passing, and all that? Oh,
Yeah,
it'd be the best soccer the world has ever seen. It'd be the most beautiful, free
it'd be the
flowing.
beautiful game once again.
Yeah. One
Here's a spicy take. Pep Guardiola said his contract's up at the end of 2025, or
Mhm.
his contract says he's going to be leaving Man City. He finds a way to get out of his contract a year early, draws Xavi and Iniesta to come be his assistant coaches, and coaches Inter Miami with Lionel Messi.
Oh my gosh. That that's a hot take for sure.
No shot that would ever happen in a million years. Just
Uh,
all the rumors of who could go and join Messi. It's got me a little. I'm just imagining all these things that could happen.
Oh, it's limitless.
Oh, it
Think of
really
who
is.
could go. Yeah.
I do want to move on to some other news, though, that's kind of come out in the last 24 hours. The Club World Cup for 2025. Typically, in the past, it's just been 8 teams. It's been like the hosts, the confederation winners for all of it. So it'd be Champions League in Europe, Copa Libertadores, all those around the world. The 8 teams. Now it's up to 32 teams, and the U.S. will be hosting in 2025. I personally think that's absurd. I don't know why we need a 32 team Club World Cup apart from the thing we always say is money talks. But what are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
it's well, first of all, the club they got rid of the Confederations Cup for this. And
Oh,
man, that tournament was fun. I loved that tournament.
relationship was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was like a kind of like an appetizer before the World Cup. You get to see all the champions from each individual federation or confederation coming together. It wa- that was fun. And then they replaced it so we could do this expanded Club World Cup. And I it's club soccer, it's not international soccer. I don't think you need 32 teams battling it out. That's just and at the end of the season, you're going to have all these players playing all these additional games. And this is right before a World Cup summer. So they're going to have 2 summers back to back, a lot of these players, where they're playing extended periods of time. They're going to be more exhausted heading into the World Cup. I feel like they would just have to be because you're not going to get as much recovery time before the new season, and you go right back into that. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, it doesn't have any impact at all. But I think that could happen. And like we said, it's just 32 teams. Do we really need to see a 32 team Club World Cup? I mean, that's like a football manager, like, I'm going to do this and F around and create this save where I just like throw a bunch of crap together just because I want to. Like FIFA's playing Football Manager in real life now with some of this, like the 48 team World Cup. I don't like what FIFA's doing with all this stuff recently.
I will say, just because I'd done a little bit of research earlier on this before we started this show, as much as I don't like it, they are moving it because the Club World Cup used to be every year.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's one in 2023, then the next one will be 25, and then after that, it looks like it's going to a 4-year cycle. So it makes adding additional teams a little easier because you'll just have all 4 Champions League winners in it for each confederation. But at the same time, you win the Champions League, say 2020, the 2025-26 season, you won't be playing in the Club World Cup until 2029. You're not going to have anywhere near the same team you have at that point. It's like you said, it's all money, but like look at the teams who have qualified so far. From Asia, we have Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia and the Urawa Red Diamonds of Japan. Africa, we have Al Ali from Egypt and Wydad Casablanca from Morocco. CONCACAF, Monterrey and Leon from Mexico. The Seattle Sounders from the MLS. Palmeiras and Flamengo from CONMEBOL. No one yet from Oceania. And then Chelsea, Real Madrid, and Man City. So you're telling me we're going to see some of these teams play Man City and Real Madrid? Just make it a European Final 8. Maybe throw in a couple South American teams because that's, in my opinion, all it's going to be for a while.
Yeah, I mean the South American teams, don't count them out for sure.
Oh, no.
They could definitely make some noise, but I really want to say CONCACAF could, but I don't know if they could. I mean, the Seattle Sounders are going to get absolutely run in a competitive match by Real Madrid. Yeah, it's going to be it is a European cash cow. It's going to be or cash grab for them. Sorry, it's just a more opportunity for these European clubs to make money and win another trophy. That's all.
The last 10 winners have been European sides, and I mean, even since 2007, all but one of them has been a European winner. The other one was Corinthians from Brazil, who it's only the only team outside of, or only country outside of Europe to have won Club World Cup is Brazil. They have 4 titles. They won the first 3, and then won in 2012. But it's straight up a cash grab for Europe.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's a little insane, but
I could be fun to go to. Like I'm still going to try to go to games because
especially with it being in the U.S. I don't know if they have stadiums announced or anything. I would doubt it, but
we're gonna have 2 MLS teams in it because I'm assuming the host spot they're gonna give is gonna be for whoever wins the MLS that season.
I would assume
season before, I guess, because it'd be in the summer of 25. So whoever wins the 24 MLS, I'd assume would be the team that qualifies for it. So we'd have 2 MLS teams at least, Seattle Sounders and whoever wins that. So, I mean, I'd try to go to all those games and see how the MLS teams can stack up against all these other teams. I think that could be fun to watch. But yeah, like we were saying, this just feels like unnecessary overkill. I think the Club World Cup was fine the way it was. It was just kind of it was like a sideshow club season. It was just a fun little thing. But now it's this giant tournament. Who knows? Maybe we'll love it.
I mean, who knows? Yeah. It just gives us more tournaments and more things to watch. But 2025, I want to say, isn't that? Oh no, I guess they're doing 24 as the Copa Americas. But it's another topic of interest that I want to ask you about. U.S. We've spoken on it a little bit before, but with the news of the Club World Cup being held there, U.S. will in 2024 host the Copa Americas. 2025 host the Club World Cup. 2026 host the Men's FIBA World Cup. Then is it potentially 2027 host the Women's World Cup?
Yeah.
What a time.
Yeah.
Maybe what are you surprised that we're seeing all America host so many major events of a sport that really hasn't even hit the main stage yet?
No, because there's so much money to be made in the U.S. there is incredible viewership for soccer in the U.S. and it's rapidly growing in popularity. We've already seen teams a lot come to the U.S. to do preseason tours. The Premier League's doing like a preseason thing in the U.S. now because they realize that people will go, people will watch it, and it's more opportunity for money. So they're going to do it. So it's not really that surprising to me at all. We have probably, I'm going to say it, we have the best infrastructure in the world to host major events because we have these NFL stadiums. We have an insane amount of hotels already built. We have transportation already around for a lot of these places. So it's not surprising to me at all. And don't forget about the Olympics too, going to LA
No, yeah.
2028. Yeah, some more soccer there that it's going to be around the country as well as being in Los Angeles. So that's another thing to throw in the mix.
Yeah. It's a lot. I feel like we probably shouldn't see another event in the US for a while after that, but like you said, money and infrastructure, it's I just wish they would kind of go back to having them all over the place. I look at the Women's World Cup. It was in Canada a few years ago. Now it's in Australia and New Zealand this year. I want to say it was in Japan at some point.
In France, yeah.
Yeah, France, that's yeah. It's we need more diversity of it. We spoke on our last episode of how Asia seems to be hosting all sorts of shit.
Oh
A
my
couple of
gosh, every Olympic Games, man, is in Asia recently.
the World Cup last year, kind of getting everything. This seems like the same sort of thing, but since it's the U.S., it's kind of like, oh, okay, we'll just do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not complaining at all about it. And don't get
No,
me
it's
wrong.
awesome for us because we get to go to stuff, you know.
Oh yeah, and I mean
But
another one that the U.S. is hosting next summer, along with the Copa Americas, is the T20 Cricket World Cup. Hosting that in the U.S. and the West Indies, which is just the name for the Caribbean. So that'll be another event that the U.S. hasn't really ever been great at or even decent at that they're hosting. So great time to be in America for sports.
yeah, it's gonna be a fun little period for us. But like we were kind of saying, it's more. I think in general, it's more fun to see stuff in different places. I'm still waiting on that African Olympics. I think that would go crazy if you put it in South Africa. I think that could be awesome. But yeah, dude, there's so much coming up in the U.S. over the next few summers for us to watch. Awesome for us. I'm going to be broke by the end of all this, but
yep, we better get working on saving money or shit. Ideal perfect world. Vendetta gets this shit. We keep rolling, keep making it. Then we got to go and cover all this stuff and have people go and cover all these events.
Yeah, talking to you, Trey. Get us in the booth, man. Get us the media passes.
Hey, we got to get there first. We're on the way. Tell you that much. Trey knows what he's doing. We got this going. Mm-hmm. But honestly, is there anything else in the world of soccer you want to talk about?
We got Gold Cup starting tomorrow, so that's fun little tournament to watch for anyone who wants to watch some Caribbean teams get absolutely murdered.
Yeah, so. We can just go quickly through the groups there if you want to do a little brief preview.
Yeah, for sure. So Group A is the U.S., Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and St. Kitts and Nevis. So the U.S. and 3 other Caribbean teams. I'm not going to lie, Jamaica's roster is incredibly strong for this. They might have the second strongest roster at this tournament, if not the first, behind Mexico.
Yeah, because I mean, look right now, who do they have? They have Leon Bailey, Michael Antonio, Damari Gray. God, it's a solid team.
Yeah, they've got ballers. A lot of Premier League guys who are going to be playing. They play the U.S. tomorrow. They might win that game. I honestly think they might win that game. So that'll be a fun one to watch. Other than that, the U.S. should ease through that group. Granted, Trinidad and Tobago, if anyone else remembers the horror show that happened in 2017, that should still be in your mind. We should kill them every time we play them for the rest of my life. That should always be on everyone's mind. So hopefully we do that. St. Kitts and Nevis, it's their first ever Gold Cup. They got here with 2 upset wins in the prelims in penalty shootouts. So good for them. But I'm predicting this group, honestly, with our roster, Jamaica's, I think Jamaica wins the group. U.S. gets second, and then Trinidad and Tobago and St. Kitts and Nevis. And then we look at Group B. We have got, let's see,
We got
Group B, we've got Mexico, Haiti, Honduras, and our favorite CONCACAF team of all time, Qatar.
Yeah. That famous North American country, Qatar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're always up there with Mexico and the U.S.
Oh, 100%.
I can't believe they signed a 2-tournament contract with them. Like
10 tournament contract?
2 tournament. No, if it was 10, I'd be like,
I mean, but everybody has except for Europe, it seems, because I know they've played in the last 2 Copa Americas and now playing in a couple of Gold Cups.
Dude, money. The money talks.
It really is.
I think Qatar Airways is like one of the main sponsors for the Gold Cup too, which is
Shocker.
a huge reason why. But yeah, that group, Mexico is probably going to win it. I'm calling it. They have a really strong squad going into this for the most part. They need something to go their way. I think they do it. Second place, honestly, you got to give it to Honduras, I think. I'm not going to – I know Qatar did well at the last one, but after seeing them in the World Cup, I have no faith in them. But I think it's going to be Honduras or Qatar for that second place spot. I think Honduras edges them out. But don't count out Haiti. Haiti can be good at these. They have been in the past. They've gone to some quarterfinals. I don't know if they've gone to a semifinal before, but they are – I mean, they compete at the Gold Cup, so don't count them out. But honestly, I'm thinking Mexico first, Honduras second, Qatar third, and Haiti fourth. Group C, Costa Rica, Panama, El Salvador, and Martinique.
On paper, this one to me seems like the most intriguing group.
Most competitive for sure.
Yeah, maybe not Martinique. I don't know a ton about them. They made it through the qualification. But to me, it seems like all 3 of these other teams could advance. Costa Rica definitely kind of on the aging side of things. Panama make the World Cup sometime one year, miss out on it the next year. So they still have the potential to be a good team. And El Salvador just seems like they can play spoiler at times.
Yeah, El Salvador is good, and they are on the rise. They're getting a lot of these dual national American El Salvador players to play for them. Believe it or not, I actually I played in an academy with one of them. Went to high school with him. I was watching the U.S. play El Salvador in the Nations League, and then he subbed in the game. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, hold up. I know that name. I know that name. I looked up. I'm like, holy crap, he's playing for the El Salvador national team now. But they're getting some very good players. They have Hugo Perez as a coach, and I think he's a really good coach. When the U.S. was still searching for a coach, he was kind of like in the back of my mind, like outside shot. I would not have minded him becoming our head coach because he played for the U.S. way back when. So they're a good team, but I still think in this group, it's probably going to be Costa Rica or Panama.
Yeah.
We take it by the horns. Don't count out El Salvador. And Martinique has pulled some upsets before. They're not a FIFA member. They only play in CONCACAF matches, but they've got some dudes who play over in France. I want to say, Brighton LeBeau plays for Switzerland. Plays in Switzerland. He's their best player. He's a fairly good player, but I think realistically it goes Costa Rica 1, Panama 2, El Salvador 3, Martinique 4. And that brings us to our final group, which is Canada, Guatemala, Cuba, and Guadeloupe.
Give me Canada to win that group pretty convincingly.
Canada wins all 3 games for sure. Pretty handily. Dude, I actually don't know who gets that second spot. I'm going to have to say Guatemala probably.
Yeah.
You know, because Cuba and Guadeloupe aren't great, but neither is Guatemala. That's a toss-up for me.
It really is. It's 3 really not very good teams.
Yeah, because, I mean, most of Guatemala's players play in Guatemala. I'm looking at Cuba right now. You have a few guys playing like USL Championship, MLS Next, Pro. One dude playing in Gibraltar, fun shout out. And then Guadeloupe, it's kind of like similar to Martinique, not a FIFA member. They actually have some dudes playing in some spots though. I mean, Torino, Sion, Ajaccio, Servette, and Switzerland. Maybe Guadeloupe gets second place. Who knows? That's the group. I have no clue besides Canada. Canada gets all 9 points, have plus 10 goal difference at least. But after that, I have no idea. If I was a betting man, I'm still going to have to go Guatemala second, Guadeloupe third, and Cuba fourth, though.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. It's going to be an absolute toss up in the rest of that. But I will say, just ending this off because we're at the hour mark, so we have to wrap this up shortly. Winner of Group A plays runner up of Group D and vice versa. So for the U.S., winning their group could be essential for making it to the semifinal. Because if you come second, assuming you'll have to play a tough Canada team, makes a big difference. So a little bit of pressure there. Jamaica knows what's up.
Hope they do well.
Yep. But Jackson, thank you as always for hopping on this daily show. It's been a good time. Thank you guys, the viewers, for watching. Check out all of our other stuff at vendettasportsmedia.com. Check out the Twitch page, YouTube channel. Subscribe to both of those. And follow along on our Twitter page for all the latest in all the sports, not just soccer, basketball. We got hockey, baseball, football. Who knows? Got a little bit of everything. So see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, and thank you.